and I'd like to add my 2 cents with regard to that as well. When my father came to this country, he was 13 years old and did not speak a lick of English. He was raised in very strong schools in Cuba, and when he got to this country, my family came to Southern California, which was sort of the Beach Boy Los Angeles that many see in the movies and the old TV shows and what have you. And when it came time to enroll my father into a high school, the school district where my grandfather bought a house and paid taxes was living wanted to bus my father to an all Spanish-speaking high school, or more Spanish-speaking high school in East Los Angeles. And my grandfather obviously fought that, and my father tested. Long story longer, my father graduated from an all-white high school in wealthy Manhattan Beach, California, with high honors at 16, and he enrolled in an undergraduate program at the University Pacific with a full scholarship in science, and he was pre-med. So you can make the argument, is it nature, is it nurture? But I think ultimately it's prioritizing education so that we don't have these numbers like 20% adult functional illiterate or what have you. I mean, those are horrible. I mean, we won the war for gosh sakes in World War II, and yet we're losing an academic war and a war which involves the most smartest brain power on the planet today with regard to running.
So is this an argument? For dismantling or maintaining the education?
I'm saying we got to do some house cleaning. We got to maintain it, but allocate it and have accountability. I would say that to get rid of it is to further, in my opinion, for Marshall's point, is to further a demise of the students who very much need the funds, who need the money, the schools that do require that. And granted, there's a lot of kids that fall through the cracks, right? For some of the reasons that have been pointed out with family, with bad houses. You got drugs rampant with Oxycontin and all that stuff that riddles communities. So there's a lot of social problems as well that obviously run headlong into the money being spent, and money's not going to cure that. Let's get right down to brass tacks on that. But I will say that when I went to the University of California, out of the community where I went, and I didn't have the opportunity to go to an all-white high school that my father went to. When I got to college, speaking to Anson's point about his I believe it was his niece or granddaughter, I can't remember, sorry about that, I forgot, but I met students that had 48 B units. And I was asking, well, what the hell is that? I think I knew about maybe one of them. And these kids came from wealthier high schools in California where they were afforded these classes and these opportunities, where my school district, from what I can surmise now that after I came home, asked a lot of questions, was that they just didn't have the money to implement these classes, or they didn't think the kids were smart enough to have those classes implemented, whatever the case may be. And then to get down to the teaching aspect, you got a guy named Jaime Escalante. There was a famous movie made about him, starring Edward James Olmos, called Stand and Deliver. And he went to a Latino high school called Garfield. And he instilled that these kids could pass AP calculus. And in short order, he had graduate after graduate testing 3, 4, and 5 on the hardest test probably in the AP system. Because he didn't care about the funding, he didn't care about what was limited or not limited. He taught to the students, he understood their culture, and he made them believe they could succeed. So why can't we replicate that all over the country?
Well, that is being replicated. I can't tell you.
But it's not.
Well, it is being replicated. I could give you anecdotal evidence of it being replicated. And by the way, the approaches at the various schools where I've seen this replicated is very different. They're different approaches. The bottom line is that the educators in these schools believe that the children, no matter their socioeconomic background, no matter their race, can succeed. And they drill that into the minds of the children. The approaches can be completely different, but